Hey everybody, this is Eric Wright. I'm at DiscoPosse. I'm the host of your DiscoPosse podcast, and we're going to do a second part of our studio tour. If you check out the link down below, or just hit this little icon, wherever it is, somewhere on this virtual screen that it'll show up. That'll take you to the first part of the video, which is where I actually walk through my podcast rig. We go through the mic, audio interface, and all the goodies that are powering the DiscoPosse podcast, and a lot of the other voice stuff that I do. Which is fun. I enjoy it. I hope you do. But I wanted to walk through the rest of the studio, and you can see what else is kind of powering the craziness that is my brain and my activities. So I did a quick walkthrough on the last one. I'm going to recap. Of course, this is my rig for my microphone and voiceover stuff. I actually have a couple of other stands at other parts of the house because I can't always use this location because we have little tiny people who are here during the day and they make a lot of noise. That's the perils of not being 100% soundproof, but it's all good. But I thought you want to see what's going on. If you've watched some of the other videos that I've actually posted on Twitter here and there, you got a couple of guitars, and this is part of my rig, so I've got a few others in another location, but I'll walk you through what I got. This is my Turbonomic branded Fender Telecaster. Not only is it Turbonomic branded, but that is actually autographed by Pat Monahan from Train. So shout out to Train. Also shout out to VMIS33 who gets me these incredible guitars. So I branded this because I actually played for my company Kickoff. This was the Tele that I used and played a little Kenny Loggins goodness, which was kind of wild. As well as some David Gilmour. We did what's it called? Goodness gracious, another Brick in the Wall Part 2. So this is my other one. This is the Epiphone Les Paul Zakk Wylde Bullseye Edition. I'm a big fan of Zakk Wylde. If you've ever heard me play and the pinch harmonics that come flying out of my awful fingers, you'll know that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. I love the dynamics and the sound. I got this thing at a crazy discount once, and there's apparently a scratch on it somewhere. I've never found out where it was, but it was used and scratched, so I got a great deal. I'm willing to go with that. And in fact, you may have seen other videos of me or pictures, and I had this one with the same vinyl branding. I actually did the whole thing as a Turbonomic logo for my company. This is a generic, so actually this belongs to Melissa, VMIS33. She had a guitar from many years ago, and so I keep the guitar just because it's fun. There's basically, you can fit change for $1 underneath those strings. It's a classic old school guitar action. But my other, one of my favorites that I enjoy here, let me get this microphone out of the way, this is a Martin. This is the Ed Sheeran model. So very cool. It's a mini, so it's actually it almost looks like a junior guitar. And the beauty part about it is not only is it Ed Sheeran's model, but it's actually signed by Ed Sheeran. Best signature ever. Please play, don't display. Don't worry, Ed. I play the hell out of this thing, so I really enjoy it. It's a beautiful sounding guitar. Some of my other inspirations that you see, and if you know me, you'll hear this. This is part of, I backed the Frank Zappa movie by Alex Winter, so as part of the Kickstarter, which is actually coming out in the fall of 2020, hopefully. So this is some of the souvenirs that I got as a result of that for the backer kit. My general miniature sort of level of soundproofing, I've got a couple of good like dampeners. These are basic tiles. You can actually get these at like Home Depot. So these are just ceiling tiles that I've co-opted, for wall coverage because I had extra. And there's a door here, and this door, rather than having the windows on here, I just mounted those on there. And then if I want, I've got two places that I can mount my green screen if I'm doing other stuff that's video related. I've got just a straight up curtain rod. And then the second piece, if I want to do it on this side, I have the hooks, and so you can actually just hang those up there and do it from there. All right, next stop. I teased this one in the last video. This is a beautiful little piece of history right here. This is the UMRK. For folks that know Frank Zappa, this is the Utility Muffin Research Kitchen. This is an actual cable, so I kid you not. This is an actual cable from Frank Zappa's studio that lives here in my studio. So that's for Frank, that's for the whole Zappa family. It's my little tribute. So I'm a big fan of Frank Zappa in many ways. So that's it. I literally have the UMRK. So a piece of his studio history lives here with me. I didn't do a whole lot of power routing in this. One thing you did notice in the last video, I talked about kind of a video. I've got a teleprompter. I've got a simple light box that I've created. It's not high end. It is literally just like poster, almost like not poster board, but it's like foam board. So straight out of Staples. A few different lights. They angle different ways depending on what I'm shooting, whether I'm shooting the light box or if I'm shooting video. So video is typically done in this direction. Luckily, I've got a great face for audio, so that's usually where my stuff is. All right, those are the guitars. I've got a couple others that you'll see in a different video, but check out the amp. This is for folks here. So I've got a Marshall Code 100. So this is a completely digital solid state amp. Heavy like no tomorrow. They put the solid in solid state. So this really is great because I can play. It has a lot of different amp simulators, very flexible. I'm a big fan of the Marshall sound, so it's kind of a nice mix. It's 100 watts, so I can do a lot. I've played in really big rooms just with it mic'd up, going to the PAs. Sounds spectacular. So I've got cables that actually span across so that when I'm sitting, I don't have to worry about that. And then it goes to the side. Here's my pedal. So this is the foot controller for the Code 100. And then the second piece that I've got is this one here, which is the pulling the light. You think if all these lights, I would light this better. This is a Line 6 HX effects. So this is a beautiful little effects unit. I picked it up because, well, I picked it up. I actually got it for a gift. Thank you, VMIS33. This was for Christmas because I wanted to get a nice effects unit to augment my Marshall. So the Marshall has a beautiful sound, but this really goes in and layers some crazy stuff on top of it. Again, fully digital. I've been a fan of Line 6 for a long time. I used to run a pod, which is kind of cool. But this one, very flexible, lots of different controls, completely software driven. So you program it on Mac or Windows. You can upload a lot of sounds. My handy dandy expression pedal, which actually plugs in. So this is plugged into the HX effects. It's also Line 6. There's some off-brand stuff you can get. I recommend going with Line 6. Billy Corgan uses this particular unit amongst a bunch of other things. Probably why I bought it, because I heart Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan is a fantastic player and just a wild individual. So this is my guitar gear, and if you actually have listened to the podcast all the way to the end, you may notice that there's a little snippet of guitar playing. I'm going to do a separate video that talks about how that came together, but the end of the video, or the end of the audio for every podcast, features, if you know the song, actually fill in the comments. I'd love to see if you can figure out who it is. It's an old school TV show from the 70s or 80s, but I loved the exit, and I'll tell you the whole story of how I built that, so make sure you check out that video. So this is the DiscoPosse rig. I've got a lot of fun stuff that I get to do. I hope this is fun for you. And if you ever want to, show your own gear off, I'd love to hear what you're running. If you've thought about doing podcasting or just general recording. Again, what do I use for software? GarageBand. That's it. I don't need anything else. Like I don't need to go high end. GarageBand does 99% of what I need it to do, and anything I needed more, I just convinced myself I don't need that 1%. So that's it. Everything that goes in, I actually have it so that my 1/4-inch XLR, so this is going to be headphone jack out, which is kind of weird because of the way the code works. It's a headphone jack out, and I've got a headphone splitter to XLR. And so I've got mic that goes into the USB, and then that can go in. It also has a direct USB out, so I can play USB right into my MacBook and actually just play it as an audio interface from there, which I've done for the most part. But now that I've got the Onyx, the Mackie USB interface, I usually plug in and play through there. Like if I had my druthers, I'd actually mic it and play it live because it's way better dynamics. But what can you do? So check it out. Go ahead, like I said, listen to the tail end of any of the podcasts and tell me if you know where that song came from. So that's it. Code 100. A little bit of goodness from different guitar brands, and the HX effects. I'm going to hopefully do some more videos that'll tell you how to use that one. I'm still figuring it out because quite often just the good old-fashioned Code 100 does what I need to do. So that's it. This is my gear. Welcome to my little studio. Hope you like it, and make sure you go to DiscoPossePodcast.com. Subscribe in iTunes. Rate us. If you rate the podcast, it's just very helpful. It lets me know that people are giving feedback, and I hope you enjoy it. And again, if you want to reach out, you can always catch me. I'm at DiscoPosse on Twitter. Follow at DiscoPosse, at DiscoPossePod, because it was the longest name I could get on Twitter. All right, check it out. Thanks very much. I'm Eric Wright, and I'll see you, and hopefully you'll hear me on the next show.